Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
It's your league to dominate in EA Sports Madden NFL 27. Powered by the all-new Persona engine, you can build your franchise the way you want. And to really live your entire football journey, get the MVP bundle. It comes with access to College Football 27, Madden NFL 27, plus deluxe edition rewards in both games. From campus legend to NFL superstar, make your rise with the MVP bundle. Learn more at EA.com. Rated E for everyone with mild lyrics, user interact, and in-game purchases includes random items.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about survival triage. And what I'm talking about is, obviously, we all have a certain amount of supplies, sustainability, weapons. We have a need for people to keep the world going on, but we only have so many resources. So I kind of wanted to talk and get people thinking about what's important. Like, what are you willing to do? And I think if you decide beforehand, I think one of the big problems we run into in life is people end up reacting on emotion. And making decisions on emotion never ends well, to be honest. So I thought if you kind of got your mind stirring, thinking a little bit beforehand, like, hey, what should I do? You could kind of make these decisions and then go into things with the right mindset. And I don't have any of the right answers. I just have all the right questions. The things that you should be thinking about and what's really going to be relevant. Now, some people have a faith in God. And they think, you know what? As long as I do the right thing, then God's going to provide and things are going to work out. So maybe that's your plan of attack. But if it is, I would say, one, God wants you to prepare first off. Time and again, all through the Bible, it talks about, preparing for things. So maybe you should be in check with what you should be doing. And if you want to be able to be compassionate and help out and care for people, maybe you should set up your stores and your survival plan to accommodate that. But even so, God, throughout the Bible helps people who have nothing, and He provides. I can think of a lot of examples. That may be your survival plan, and that's okay. But if that's not your plan, then you need to kind of think about things beforehand. Think about how things might play out. Think about what's important. Is sharing your 7-day food supply for your family with another family that cuts you down to 3.5 days, is that acceptable to you? Is it acceptable to turn away another family and say, you know what, can't help you, move on? These are the kind of questions that I wanted to get into. Any thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, it's rough. I mean,
yeah.
It's really a lot of it is you can always say you need to just have more stuff, enough to provide for everybody, but that's just not the case. That's just never going to be the case.
It's not practical.
Yeah,
no.
It's not practical to say you should have prepared better, because there's always going to be, you can't feed everybody in the world. And sacrifice your own family.
Exactly.
To do it.
I mean, you have a certain obligation to your wife, to your kids, or to maybe your survival buddies kind of thing. The people you plan to group with. You have an obligation to the commitments that you make. Honestly, I tell my kids a lot, you're never going to help people by giving them stuff. It's a big thing. The Red Cross is kind of in the news. I don't know if you guys saw on the Facebook one of the town council guys in Houston went on Facebook and is like, whatever you do, don't give money to the Red Cross.
Yeah, he just trashed him up and down.
And he trashed him up and down. And the idea is, he's like, they didn't show up. They're not here. They're not giving out water. They're not doing anything. But they're running around everywhere I go. Sam's Club. I go to my local deli. There's a jar for the Red Cross. All this stuff. My experience has been a little jaded with the Red Cross. I had a buddy in the Navy who ended up in a bad situation with them, I guess. They, when you're in the military and you're in a combat zone, you're not allowed to send communications out, or at least that was the deal when I was in. And so you're not allowed to send an email to your, whatever. I mean, you can send it, but it just won't get there.
Right.
And what had happened was his mother and his sister, actually his mother and his two sisters, were all killed in a car crash while we were out and deployed. And so the only way the family can get in touch with them is through the Red Cross. And so they go to their local Red Cross and, can you send this urgent message to him? And sure enough, he gets the message, and I have to tell him 2 days after the funeral.
Ooh,
that
that's
his
rough.
mom and sister. And the thing is, in the military, they won't let you go home after the funeral. They'll let you go home for a funeral.
For the funeral.
Of a mother, father, or sibling, I think was the rule. I don't know the details. I know had he known before the funeral, he could have gone and grieved with his family. And instead, I had him messed up for the rest of the cruise where he couldn't get his head right because he was destroyed by it. So that kind of left a sour taste. Maybe some things in Afghanistan, I don't know. But whatever it is, that's not my point. I kind of went off on a tangent there. But the idea is, I keep telling my kids, you're not going to help people by giving them stuff. Obviously, you see people, who need water and whatever in Houston. Yeah. I'm not saying, don't take care of your neighbor.
Being charitable is important.
Charitable's cool.
Right.
But what I mean is long-term benefits. You see a poor family, how many times do you see you give them a house and then, they lose it because they can't afford to pay the taxes or, whatever. My point is, it's better to teach people.
Right.
And show them how to provide for themselves. So that's maybe something to think about with this. There's a card game that was really popular, I think, right before, I say really popular in my world, in the survival prepping community, and all over Facebook and stuff. I think around Thanksgiving, Christmas last year was this conflicted card game. And I was thinking about it again. I think now they have a board game or something like that that's out. I'm seeing more ads on the Facebook. I'll put a link in the show notes. But they put out these cards, and it basically lays out these scenarios. And you're supposed to discuss, how would you handle each scenario. And, they lay out a lot of things that, kind of get you thinking. So I'm going to throw out a couple of sample cards. If you think that this is like, what do you call it when you ruin the movie?
Spoiler?
A spoiler. Maybe you want to not listen, but I think it just gives you the edge so you'll win the game, right?
That's right.
That's the way I see it. The idea is they're supposed to invoke thought. So here's the first one. It says, your camp was attacked, and you and your buddies fended off the attackers and took 3 people prisoner. Supplies are low, and there are extra mouths to feed. Would you kill them to remove the threat and save supplies, or try to convert them and lose supplies building trust? This would cut your supply timeline in half. Or would you set them free, risking a counterattack? How would you handle the situation and why? Now, what do you think about that, Kevin? I mean, what comes to mind?
There's a lot of options with that, I mean, as far as building trust and friendship, you don't want to just randomly shoot somebody because they were, kind of...
Because they were hungry. They're trying to feed their baby.
Right. You know, and what do you do in a situation like that? I mean, there's a million different options.
But do you think they're not going to come back?
Well, you could cut off their trigger finger. Make a little necklace, wear them around your neck.
Or maybe put it around their neck. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one because it's leaves a lot up in the air as far as why they were attacking and why they were trying to get you and what are you going to do about it?
Right. When I was in the military, it was weird. I was over in Kosovo, and it's former Yugoslavia there, and it was an ugly time. People are brutal. You see a lot of, people degrade so fast to such a depraved state. Now, obviously, if you have some sense of morals and people are sticking together and, working together, then that might be different. But I am worried that, there's an ugly world out there.
Yeah, well, if your kid's starving, man, you lose your morality pretty quick.
And that's, it's nice to help people out, but honestly, it does kind of have to be a case by case, and you figure out what's going on and how you're going to handle it. But these are things you need to kind of start to think about before you end up in that situation. So, I don't know, you just have to think about it and, kind of try and come up with a plan. So, the next one I got is you were attacked by a gang of robbers and you have successfully defended your urban stronghold. After scouting around, you find their children and they're old waiting at a safe distance. Too young and too old to survive on their own. Supplies are incredibly low and every scrap of food counts. Would you take the old and the children prisoners and share your supplies or abandon them? Your limited supplies would be cut in half, and a supply run would put lives at risk. How would you handle the situation? How about that one, Kevin?
Feed the old people to the young people. Yeah. What do you do in a situation?
Kevorkian kind of theme? Is that what you're going with?
Yeah, what do you do in a situation like that? These are all impossible questions, right?
Right. They're people.
And that's the point. What's the point of survival if you have to destroy civilization and civilized thought to survive?
That's, if you lose your humanity. Mm-hmm. You resort to cannibalism or, what? Right. That's, what is life worth then? Mm-hmm. If you let your wife die to save yourself, or, people are like that. Obviously, that's not the way we see the world. Right. But that's what I'm saying. But then what have you left? Mm-hmm. What are you living for?
Right.
Yeah. No, these are the kind of things. They're children. But, all right, if you take these children, your kids are going to starve.
Yeah, maybe everybody will starve now.
We all die together. I think there was a book way back called Nazi Doctors.
Yeah.
And in this book, they would talk about, they'd have vaccines for like the flu and maybe tuberculosis, different things. And they would give it to the Jewish doctors who were in the camps, taking care of their own people and say, yeah, you have 10 people sick with the flu or whatever. You have a bunch of people who aren't sick yet. And you have, these vaccines and inoculations. What do? You don't have enough. If you split it up and everybody gets a little, you're all going to die.
Right.
And if you try and, how do you decide who lives and dies?
Right.
These are horrible, ugly questions that nobody wants to think about. Mm-hmm. But, kind of just, throw a little bit in your soul there and kind of, just prepare your mind for, and maybe that means you step up your prepping.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like, hey, really I should come up with a plan to really,
Yeah, and when you get down to it, you have to really do a thorough inventory of your supplies. There's minimum food requirements, calorie requirements to stay healthy. If you're inactive, an adult male requires about 1,700 calories to just survive and not do anything. Children need about 1,200 calories just to survive, not doing anything. I mean, cutting down supplies is fine, but you have to go through calorie by calorie and designate how much each person needs. It can get really tricky when you're talking about long-term survival on limited supplies.
Now, you were telling me you had some insight on starving.
Yeah. I looked this up.
All right, tell me.
Let's talk about starvation. Starvation is the result of inadequate intake of nutrients. Now, there's 3 phases of starvation. The first phase is basically it starts about 3 hours after your last meal. So you go through this first phase on a day-to-day basis. What happens is your glucose levels that are normally maintained by your liver after about 3 hours after eating, they're maintained through a production of glucose from proteins, glycerin, and fat in your body.
I have fat. We're in.
Yeah. No, and honestly, when it comes to a starvation situation, body fat is a plus.
Nice. I'm king.
Yeah. So the second phase of starvation, the second stage of starvation can last for weeks. That's when people are starving and you see them. That's generally what you're looking at. The body uses up the fats as the main source of energy.
Okay.
Proteins that aren't essential for survival are used first. Now,
that's why your muscles go away?
Yeah, that's the third phase of starvation begins when the fat reserves run out.
Okay.
And your body starts using proteins that are necessary. Muscles are your biggest source of protein in your body, and your body starts consuming that. This is about 2 weeks into without food. The muscles are quickly consumed by the body. After this, proteins used for cellular function are broken down, and cellular function degenerates. Now, most people in this phase die of illnesses that you wouldn't normally even get sick from, but your body has no defense against. Even a simple cut, can be the end of your life. A small cough that you might have 3 coughs and then not think about it anymore because you never really got sick.
Right.
That might be terminal now. So most people die from illnesses when they get to this phase before they die of actual starvation.
Okay.
So I mean, it's one of those things with the calorie intake. You want to be able to spread it out as much as you can, and limiting your supply is going to make that starvation period last longer than a few weeks. I think you have, they said, between 2 weeks and 70 days is what you have without food. It really depends on the person and the climate and the shelter that they have around. If you're out and it's 20 degrees outside and all you have is a campfire, 2 weeks is going to be a stretch without any food. Now, if you are dealing with somebody that is starving to death and they're in that phase 3 and they're dying, they are hallucinating and they are weak and incoherent, you can't just start shoveling potato chips in their mouth because that'll kill them. It's too late for that. That type of food isn't going to work anymore. Their body's not able to digest that food and properly use it. So when you're dealing with somebody that's actually starving, like when the Allied forces came across the concentration camps, they couldn't just start feeding them rations. It would kill them. What you have to do is have small quantities of food that are high in protein and high in vitamins and minerals. Because heavy, bulky items like potatoes and turnips and things like that, it's just the body's not gonna convert it. Bread, things like that. At that point, it's too late. It's too late for carbohydrates and fats and sugars. You need to go directly with protein and things that are rich in the minerals and things that they are short on. You know, a lot of things like vitamin D deficiency and vitamin C deficiency, scurvy, things like that.
Yep.
You know, cause serious health problems just aside of the fact that your body's eating itself, you know?
Right.
So what they say is low bulk food, high in protein, vitamins, and minerals are necessary for this to stop the process of starvation once phase 3 is begun. So that's the ins and outs of starvation.
So I should buy that 50-pound bag of rice at Sam's Club is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is you should stock up on beef jerky and have that as your last resort.
I was going to eat the rice first.
Eat the rice first, right.
And then save the jerky for the end.
Yep. So, you know, now if you're in a situation, you know, I know a lot of people say multivitamins are bullshit. And they are bullshit because you get all your vitamins from the food you eat, as long as you're eating a somewhat healthy diet. But if you're starving, your body's going to start consuming its own body fat. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get supplied with the vitamins and the nutrients you need. So if you're starving to death and you have a bottle of those, you know, multivitamins, definitely worth taking one a day.
One a day?
The Men's Health, one a day, man. Do it up.
Living it up. Those, you don't want to buy too many in bulk planning for the future. They do degrade.
They do go bad, that's right.
But, you know, hey, it's better than not having them. I can tell you that.
And just because they say they're bad.
Oh, no, I mean, you might be good for a year. I'm just saying don't buy 20, you know.
Yeah, don't buy 20 years supply and stick it in a closet
and be like,
somewhere.
that's going to work out great.
But remember those vitamins, most medicines and vitamins, when you look at the expiration date, what it means there with the expiration date is that it's going to start losing potency.
It's effective, right.
Doesn't mean it's useless.
It's supposed to match the label up to the expire date.
Right.
In your potency. So, just something to think about. So, yeah, I mean, I just kind of, you know, how do you decide what's right? What about illness? You know, if somebody gets sick, do you move them away from the camp and be like, yeah, you're going to die anyway?
Yeah, you have constant diarrhea. I'm sorry, buddy. You're not hanging out with the rest of us.
There's, you know.
Shouldn't have drank that water from the pond.
I don't want to get into trouble and tell people about my chickens, but, you know, sometimes chickens get sick. Sick. And, you know, that's the end.
Gotta cull the herd, man.
And, you know, you take care of things.
Yeah, I know my kid was sick last week. He was throwing up, and I set up a tent in the backyard and moved him out. Said, you can come back when you stop throwing up, buddy. Sorry. I hope you make it. I'll check on you in a week.
That's it, you know. Hang in there. Stay strong, brother. And that's it, you know. But you got to, you know, just think about these things beforehand. And maybe when you're thinking about these things, maybe what you're thinking is, hey, I should step up my game. You know, I should step up my preps.
Right. Are you going to turn away a pregnant woman?
Well, I would.
It's a hard question. You're rotten, dude. Rotten.
I was joking. I get in too much trouble for my callous humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading a thread the other day on survivalism, and somebody was talking about if one of your members of your team gets captured by the enemy, how do you set up a safe swap? Like if you know, show up, and blah, blah, blah. One of the people wrote in that said, if he got captured, fuck him. You know?
That was
he
his
fucked
own
up.
fault?
Yeah, that's his own fault. He's on his own. You can't think of your friends and family like that because they're going to start thinking about you in the same way.
No, that's a dangerous road. So, actually, that brings me to the last card I had for tonight.
All right.
And it is list 5 crimes punishable by death in a post-apocalyptic world that in the world of today do not carry that sentence. And I was just wondering your thoughts on that.
I'd say cannibalism has to be on the top of that list.
That's number 1?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a punishable. Maybe not by death.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know. In most coward states, they don't do by death anymore. So.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take cannibalism.
I
guess stealing can be a...
hoarding food.
I could see that I mean, not that we want to turn into socialism or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, if you're stealing from the group, because every little bit you take, you sneaking in and taking those candy bars,
mouth.
that's
Yeah.
life and death.
Yeah.
You're taking the life from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, trust is such an important thing in a situation like this that if you can't count on people, it ends bad,
Yeah.
I don't know. These are, things like I said. It's good to think about kind of beforehand. And even if all it does is make you, step up your game on prepping,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe that's something,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd have to put murder on the list.
Murder's on the list, yeah. Yeah, it sounds right.
Uh-huh. We're still short on 2, though. I can,
We need 2 more?
2 more. We got to come up with 5.
All right, we can do that. So yeah, I think stealing. I think, man, I mean, I got to tell you, little things like lying, I mean, even are almost,
Yeah.
At that level. There's
Sleeping on watch.
I don't need to know, bull crap. I don't need to know that you're running off with your girlfriend behind the whatever.
Uh-huh.
That's not what I'm talking about. But when people are like, oh, I saw this refugee girl outside our camp and I've been sneaking her extra food, even if it's your portion,
Right.
All right, imagine a scenario like that. So everybody's given an MRE at night and you take your MRE and you give half to the little refugee person that's coming over and talking to you, and you let them go. But when you have less of the food that that your group is having, it's going to take a toll on you, and it's going to take a toll on your readiness. One, to do your work in the, in the gardening, the hunting, the whatever, and it's going to take a toll on your ability to do watch, to, protect and do survival, preparedness. It affects everybody else, the decisions you make for yourself.
Right.
When, in a situation like that. So, I mean, every little thing gets so, crucial. And that's back to, what it all comes down to.
Yeah, I remember when I was in South America.
Uh-huh.
I was north of Resistencia in Argentina. And pretty much everybody there are at starvation levels.
Right.
And it was a big deal. You don't feed the dogs. Don't feed the dogs. Because anything you give to the dogs is something that you're taking out of the mouth of somebody that's actually starving.
Yeah.
And there are dogs all over the place, wandering around all covered in mange and ribs showing and everything else. But, you give anything to a dog, and it's basically taking food out of a child's mouth.
Right.
There was nothing extra. So, things like that.
I mean, that's the world. And that's what we're talking about with this whole prepping survival thing.
Right.
Life
and death.
So, on a happier note, you feel like we've covered it?
Yeah, I feel like completely depressed and I'm ready to hang myself.
So, like I said, on a happier note, Babybird24 left us a review on the iTunes.
All right, what's it say?
Said all kinds of nice, happy things. I'm not going to read it. I'll get all red and embarrassed. I'll blush a little bit.
Giggle like a schoolgirl.
But bottom line, she was like, hey, they bring insightful information.
Good.
And that's what we're trying to do. So I really appreciate it. Appreciate when you guys go over and leave us the feedback. That's really cool. You wanted to talk about sonic weapons. What are we?
Yes.
Tell
Before
me.
we get into that,
you
guys may hear the cicadas and tree frogs. We're doing an outdoor podcast today.
That's all right. Getting a little close to nature.
Yeah. Our studio is under renovation. We'll call it.
All right.
And we'll be back there next week. But you're just going to have to
enjoy
put up with
nature.
the sounds of wilderness.
The relaxing sounds of outside.
Uh-huh. Now, sonic weapons have been a thing for a while. It's basically a non-lethal weapon that you can use. What it is basically it's a loud sound that's at a frequency that makes you nauseous and dizzy.
Is this when they were playing Twisted Sister all the time?
Yeah, well, that could be a sonic weapon.
Okay.
But the sonic weapon that I'm going to talk about now is a sonic weapon that's nobody knows about. We don't know how it works. We don't know what's going on. But
you're going to crap your pants when you hear it? Is it one of those?
This is no. This is actually a serious thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to read you a little bit from this news report. This is Armed Forces News.
All right.
Reports that a mysterious sonic weapon has been used to target American diplomats in Cuba are puzzling scientists. Citing a review of medical records, CBS News reported Wednesday that some U.S. and Canadian diplomats in Cuba have been diagnosed with mild traumatic brain injury and likely damage to the central nervous system after an apparent sonic weapons attack targeting their homes. Now, this is the homes of diplomats. This is their family, their kids. Permanent hearing loss is one of the things that's going on. Nobody knows who's doing it. This is all in Cuba.
Okay.
Nobody knows who's doing it or why they're doing it. But there's one Cuban politician, multiple American diplomats, multiple Canadian diplomats, and they say they report sounds of like metal scraping. And then
that doesn't sound pleasant.
Then they get brain damage and dizzy and suffer serious long-term or permanent hearing issues. And most people didn't even hear a sound. So it's at a frequency that humans can't even hear. But it's they've been targeted. You're going to hear a little bit more about this on the news coming up, I'm sure. But
my
Cuba,
experience has been that I hear something, and then about 3 days later it hits the news.
Yeah.
So maybe around when this podcast comes out. Who knows?
it'll be coming out now. Cuba, in a strange twist of events, because they were so
anti-sonic weapons.
No, because they were so shocked because it was like they have this big push going now that the U.S. lifted the embargo, that they're really trying to keep relations
besties.
positive.
All
and
right.
not permanently give permanent brain damage to
American diplomats. All right.
So they actually allowed the FBI and the Canadian Mounted Police.
Oh, they sent them down with their horses?
With their horses? No, I don't know if they went with their horses. My son was wondering why he was picturing them riding around with their horses looking for sonic weapons, but
that's awesome.
They don't know if this is equipment that's implanted in their homes or from outside their homes targeting their homes, but most sonic weapons don't work through walls and closed windows. So they don't know how it's actually affecting people.
Well,
and
maybe
damaging
they're
them.
using my TV speakers.
See?
Secret of the pros right there.
But, so, let's keep our eyes open for this one. This seems like it
Let's
could
keep
be
our
interesting.
eyes and our ears.
And our ears. Nice.
You like that,
Nice.
Save? There you go.
Now, I wanted to share a recipe that I've been trying out the past few weeks. It's a little afternoon pick-me-up.
Tell me about this
Now-
exciting news.
Now, when I get home, after a long day of work, I've been pouring a glass.
Southern Comfort.
No, it's an ounce of gin,
Oh, now it's a gin.
an
Right.
ounce of orange juice, and a raw egg.
Gin,
Now-
orange juice, and a raw egg.
Now, what you want to do is shake it up in a shaker. And then it's nice and frothy. It goes right down. Today, I made a mistake, and I stirred it. I thought I could just stir it really good.
Not shaking.
Didn't work out so well. It was big chunks of egg, and it was just kind of gross instead of being a delicious afternoon delight.
Now you're saying other times it's a delicious
It's a
afternoon
delight. It is.
Wow.
So, what I recommend, a shot of gin, shot of orange juice, raw egg, shake it, then drink it. It's frothy and delicious.
Very interesting.
Gets your protein and your alcohol, both your basic food groups.
Both food groups. Nice. All right. I like it. So, you guys may want to head over to our Facebook page, Prepping Badass.
Mm-hmm.
May want to check us out on subscribe to the iTunes.
Yeah.
Maybe you're feeling, I do get a lot of value from Kevin and Chuck. Maybe I should head over to Patreon.
That's right.
And, maybe pledge $1 a month, $2 a month, $5 a month. I'm not, hey, whatever. And, little fundage.
Yeah. And if we,
yes.
if you have if we were talking about the 5 crimes punishable by death in the apocalypse, and we didn't cover any that you think are important, I'd love to hear about them.
Kevin would love to know what you think is worthy of hanging somebody.
Yeah, you can email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. You can also email me your recipes for afternoon pick-me-ups at
Now, I just drink black coffee. You have to
come on, caffeine that late in the day it's not good for you, man.
No?
You're gonna have a hard time getting to sleep.
All right.
No. So, you can email us this at preppingbadass@gmail.com. We'll if you guys have any good recipes, or if you have any good crimes punishable by death, let us know. We'll read them on the podcast next week. And you got anything else, Chuck?
I think that's it. So otherwise, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.